I have a question for vocalists. Hassan, you mentioned that with the scream, like you kind of damaged your voice. So, what kind of techniques would you do now before the performing? So, how do you keep your voice healthy? And do you take any lessons?
So for me, before when I was in the black metal band, I did not really do any kind of warm ups, which led to this. I was not really following much of a technique. I kind of just did it. So I guess that's not the way to go about it. After especially seeing John progressing so fast as a screamer, you know, he's got like the technique down. For myself, when it comes to clean singing, I do some warm up. Actually, oftentimes when we're going to practice, me and John put on this video on YouTube that's like a warm up routine, and I'm pretty sure Veronica loves hearing about it. we make really weird sounds when we're doing it. So that would be the kind of warm up routine. I did take some lessons, a couple of. So this was before we actually got the band together. It was during the time. It was after I finished college. Straight away, I booked myself for a couple of lessons with a lady from. She was living near Bagot Street, but she kind of had a great way of explaining things to me and how to basically get the most out of my voice and, you know, techniques and warm up exercises and things like that. So I feel like that really helped. So yeah, like before we go on stage, I try to kind of do a bit of a warm up, but we haven't really had an opportunity to to do many shows just yet. So I haven't really gotten a certain kind of way of doing it down yet. But yeah, lots of weird sounds and noises before we before we hit the practice in the studio.
What about you, John?
So for me, I actually started with screaming, which I still primarily mostly just do. And when I started, I done it wrong. I done everything wrong. I was watching any sort of YouTube video and I'd do it for 2 seconds and I'd feel like I was going to faint and I was like, this is bad. So then I started practicing. Me and one of my friends at the time were like, and he wasn't musical at all. I played bass, but he was like, I want to learn it too. So I essentially stopped screaming for a bit, and then I bought the Zenith Screaming DVDs, and then that gave me a few tips to learn the foundations. But then I was still trying, and I was like, I'm getting nowhere with this. And I kind of stopped for a bit, but I'd still be walking around the house, and now and again I'd like do the warm ups and the tips that it gave, and then. Out of nowhere, I eventually joined a pop punk band, and when I was in that band, I was like, because I was playing bass in that band, I said that I wanted to. I started practicing screaming at home a bit more, and I was practicing the songs that essentially had very little screaming. So I was practicing like Trivium, like with their In Waves album, that song In Waves. I remember I used to do that over and over because it's just the words In Waves, and then eventually it kind of came together because the amount of times that I was just walking around my house and I was literally just like going, just screaming, and then and then eventually I just went back to it, and I all of a sudden could do it since I just walk around randomly doing like the warm-ups and techniques. And then from there, then that pop punk band fell apart. And then when it came to our other project before Neon Empire, Trapped in Atlantis, I was doing kind of backup screams. I just brought a mic. I wasn't really meant to be doing like backup ranting. I was just like, I'll just do it anyway. And the other guys couldn't really hear me when I was doing it anyway, just because the noise in those practice rooms. And then I was just kind of doing it, but I'm not very good at bass either, so I was just kind of, again, it was kind of hurting me trying to multitask the two of them. And then when it came to Hassan's project, I was just like, I just want to do screams on their own, and then I just gave it a go, and then the demo came out completely fine, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And then if you go back and listen to our first single, This Clarity, we recorded that 1.5 years ago, and then if you listen to our current single, Wrath, like, I used one technique in This Clarity, and then I just started practicing any technique I could for Wrath. And then for Wrath, our latest single, I just threw everything into it. And now it's still coming together, and now clean vocals are a work in progress. In regard to, San missed one part there with our warm-ups before shows. We're in Fibbers. I think it was before our first show. And we were warming up to I Want It That Way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were doing Backstreet Boys in the bathroom, and some guy came out of the cubicle. He came out of the cubicle, and we were singing, and we were like, I wasn't screaming. So when you do the scream warm ups, it's just singing. And he literally just turned to us and was like, "I thought this was a metal bar." And yeah, that was my first ever show. So you know, when someone when we're about to perform that song, doing a cover of it that night, and someone screams that in your face when it's my first show, I felt fantastic.
Yeah, can imagine. You mentioned you were practicing a lot of hum. So what about your neighbors? Did they complain about her?
No, so they didn't. I'm going to put it this way: we don't get along with my neighbors very well in recent years. But I was weird with my family at first. At first, I was very kind of like, I'm going to practice when they're not home and everything. And yeah, like my parents don't know anything about metal and stuff. So when I did eventually start practicing, like there's times where I would be practicing and I'd start screaming, and then I'd hear my man outside my bedroom and she'd be like, "That's not singing. What is that?" And I'd like, and like I'd instantly stop, like, because clearly like I got kind of like to a point where like I was embarrassed and everything by it. So, but then it just got to a point where I just didn't care. I just gave it my all, and I just kind of kept practicing at home, and I still kind of I just practice at home. I put my headphones in, and I just go for it now. So it has changed quite a bit, and since we started like doing shows and things started coming together with the band, my parents have been like really supportive. They don't make comments outside like the room or anything anymore. So it's a completely different environment from when I first started doing it, because I think they were probably a little scared.
I think my neighbors are super patient. I think next to me is an elderly lady who probably can't hear well, because I've had John come in here doing screaming when we're demoing, and yeah, it gets pretty loud, and I have to close all the windows just in case, you know, someone thinks there's an exorcism going on or something like that. As for my next door on this side, they've been surprisingly patient as well, because see, the thing is, I think there's a little understanding we have unspoken of. So it's a lady who has 2 little kids, and at 8 a.m. every morning I just start hearing screams, especially with the lockdown, you know, like no kids are going to school, like the younger ones, so I can just hear the screaming during the day, and then in the evening, if I ever want to practice singing or whatever, I just go for it, like and I don't really get any complaints about it, so I think I'm in a good place.
But do you get any Windows visitors? People watching you scream, looking at what's happening there?
I think we close the blinds.
We do close the blinds. Now the biggest problem that we probably had to deal with is Hassan's really friendly cats, who are really friendly, and they attack us when we start doing vocals. They attack us.
I think
they walk around.
Yeah, I think they think that we're like under stress or something, because they start like clawing up to us, and I think Frank jumped at you and like tried to bite your knee or something.
And Egg literally bit me. Egg would come up to my leg and bite my leg. My own cat sits in my bed comfortably, continuing to sleep when I do any of that stuff in my room. I'll be practicing guitar and stuff, and my own cat has no problem. But yeah, Hassan's cats don't like vocals.
Yeah, they really don't.
Cool. Very interesting song with cats.
Great stories. So let's say hello to Italy and Francesco. Hello, Francesco. Ciao.
Hello.
Hey guys.
Hello. Wow. That's awesome.
Freedom Call. It's Francesco from Freedom Call and Vexillum bands from Italy.
Yeah, we had them like 1 month ago, so cheers.
Cheers.
Awesome.
So, guys, because I have almost the same question as Brian. So, but I had the 5 bands. So, if you had the opportunity to go on a tour with 5 bands, which bands would you choose?
So, is this referring to? So Brian's question, I think, is referring to who would we bring if we were headlining, And
okay.
or is this who we'd tour with?
Okay. Go for Brian first.
Okay.
We're not supporting anyone. We're the headliners here.
Yeah.
This is important. Like, yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't accept the question if we're not headlining.
No, I didn't say headline. I say had the opportunity to go on a tour. Which band would you choose to go with?
Yes. So I'll answer essentially both parts to that from my side. So if we were to bring bands with us, let's say if we got offered a tour like of Europe or something tomorrow for the end of the year, one band that I'd ask to probably bring with us would probably be the Risen Dread from the Irish scene. And those guys just seem really into it, and they seem behind everything that they do. And once it came to it, I feel that their heads would be just in the game as ours, and they'd be want to promote it, get as many fans, and get as much social media going to kind of help everyone who's involved in the tour and try to get numbers up as high as possible, and then just have a blast with it as well. So they were in the Bloodstock Metal to the Masses, and then we had a great night with those guys as well. They're all really nice dudes. There's a band to tour with, so this one is my goal. So this isn't one of those things where I'm going to be like, I want to play with Metallica. So like this one, I like to keep realistic. So one thing for me that if they ever come back here, I want to play with the Amity Affliction, and I'm going to fight tooth and nail with who the promoter is. And I'm going to tell them that we're playing with them. Okay, so promoters, you watch out, because you're going to probably need to block me when it comes to playing here again. Especially last time, because I got kicked out and missed like the last 5 songs.
Why?
It's not my fault. So there was a mosh pit in front of us, and my girlfriend loves the band as well, and I put her on my shoulders, and they just came up and said, "Oh, can you get down off his shoulders?" And then they just manhandled me out. I wasn't even drinking that night, so I was like, okay, so people can fight in a mosh pit, but I can't get. I putting my girlfriend on my shoulders is a problem. So yeah, then we missed it. But luckily the band Crystal Lake, my girlfriend, because she didn't get kicked out, so she talked to the guitarist of Crystal Lake and said, can you get my boyfriend back in? And he came out to the bouncer and was like, I have a pass, let him in. And the bouncer was like, he was not happy that we were getting let back in. So those guys are my favorite band, and I 100% want to play with them, and yeah, that will happen. That's going to happen. The next one will be Eskimo Cowboy, Tom's favorite.
Fine, I'll accept it.
Oh, that's me. So if we are headlining tour and we can bring some like Irish bands, for me it would be probably Words Burn, because they are great guys. They play very similar music than we do, so it would be like good fit. And then Restive Nation, because they are also awesome, and I really like them. And if we can support some band I really love in future, I think like the highlight would be for me probably Architects, because they are like one of my favorite bands, so probably them.
Cool. Tom?
Oh, yeah, no, I like this way of answering it. So yeah, the Irish band that I'd go on tour, I really like this band called Bitch Falcon. They're like a grungy punk kind of thing. Really good. I first listened to them because I saw their name on like a festival list. I was like, that's a great name, regardless of what it sounds like. That's a fantastic name. They're fantastic though. They're really good. And who like the kind of aspirational one, probably like Enter Shikari, I'd say would be my top one. Something kind of similar vibe, like the electronic influenced, but I really dig the way they approach live shows. That'd be really cool.
Cool. Hassan is back.
Yeah, I don't know. It kicked my video.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah,
So?
I don't know what happened there. For me, I would have to say bands that we would bring with us if we are headlining would be Words That Burn. I believe their sound is kind of like similar enough to ours in some ways, and they put on a really good show. I saw them at Chine a couple of actually I don't even know the last time.
A year ago or a year.
It's been too long since
2
I've been
years?
to an actual gig. but yeah, that was a great gig, and I really enjoyed their energy on stage, and I think they'd be a great band, to support us. And another band that I really enjoy is Peasant to a King. They're a deathcore band, and they have this energy. When you go to see them, you just want to like go into a mosh pit and just go into all of that and just smash something, so like they're really good, great energy. So those would be the bands I'd bring. As for playing with the supporting bands, I think two of my main aspirations would be Bullet for My Valentine. Love those guys. They're kind of what got me into metal. So it would be amazing to support a band like that. And Dead by April as well. They're another big influence, and I think the sound that we have is very similar to theirs. So yeah, those would be my two picks.
Great mix. So let's go now to something light and Irish. So what's your favorite tradition? Let's start with Veronica now.
No.
You live here 3 years, so
I really like I'm not sure if it's like tradition, but how people are open here and they start talking to you, like even strangers on the street or in the pub. So that's like very cool, and it's you then already feel like welcome in here, even though we are here like for like very short time, but like everyone is friendly and they're open to talk to. So as I said, I'm not sure if it's tradition, but it's something I really like.
Cool. Yeah, I agree completely. You can just talk about strangers and probably they won't remember you next morning, but it was great.
Yeah.
Great. So, John?
For me, it would probably be anything that comes from the food. Okay, but this applies to countries anyway. But like things like bangers and mash or any particular stews or full Irish breakfast food side of things for me is that's the bit that will get me. I'll go to a restaurant that could have like the best burgers and it could be like literally like this big, and then I'll be like, yeah, give me that sausage, give me that mashed potato, and gravy, and I am good. And even though there's already great potatoes on my plate, I'll get fries.
Cool. Tom?
This might be a bit of a cheat, but I would say like Irish traditional music, and the fact that like you can still find it in random bars if you just head out in a random night out. Because like I know we're a metal band obviously, but like Irish trad like slaps sometimes. Like that shit can really hit hard. Like so I really like that our traditional like Irish traditional music has such like a pace to it. Like it's fast and it's energetic. I really dig that.
Yeah, I actually very agree on this one with Tom, because I'm from Slovakia, but I love to go on Friday or Saturday out to the pub when their Irish band is playing. It's very usual in Dublin. Like you can go anywhere and you see the live music, and it's like so much energy in it that it's like very cool thing. And I'm not sick of it so far. So,
for me, one of the highlights for me is after a night out, when it's 3 a.m. and you just get a big kebab from a...
that's very Irish.
Yeah, famous Irish food.
All the Irish people that I know do this, so I would consider it.
I think everyone with a hangover.
But the worst, what I notice here in Dublin is find a kebab place. Like it's horrible. Like I used to live in Watford, and every corner, even at 3 a.m, kebab, and here it's like I can't find it. Like if you have a list of kebab stores in Dublin, please send it to me.
James Street is covered in about 50 of them, but the only time I have ever gone to any of those kebab places I am beyond belief. Now this has been a long time where I've been beyond belief, and I go there and you would not want to sit at that table with me. I'm going to tell you.
We were talking about nice places, like a recommendation, not places to avoid. Like, now I don't want to kebab anymore.
I don't know if they're to avoid. Like I'm pretty picky with food, so if I've got actually no, I would not take that advice at all.
I think Zaytoon do great kebabs.
Yes.
I think there's one near Rathmines actually as well.
Yeah, in close to Rathmines, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's one on South Camden Street. No, it's South Richmond Street. There's one down there. Black Horse, great place.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, can you explain like why you are putting vinegar on fries?
Yeah,
Like why?
Oh, that is shameful. I'll admit that. Yeah, I know. I'll formally apologize on behalf of all Irish people.
I think it's meant to be like salt and vinegar chips.
Oh, it's
salt and vinegar chips.
Yeah.
It's horrible. You are supposed to put mayonnaise. It's horrible. And if you order something in Ireland, and if you don't do it, you get vinegar, and you're like, no, in the bin. You can't eat it.
There's actually a great chipper down the road from me called Macari's. They just seem to do it right. They do salt and vinegar on chips. I think you guys will turn around on that one.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Non-negotiable.
Okay.
It's like you even put salt and vinegar to crisps. Like it's really like.
Yeah, like why?
Sometimes I like because I love vinegar. So yeah. Yeah. I'm strange Greek person.
What would be your favorite Irish celebration?
I think
Halloween.
Yeah, I think Halloween for me as well. That's like a very Celtic tradition. So,
Didn't Halloween originate in Ireland?
It did.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Look at you did your homework on Irish traditions, John. That's impressive.
I panicked and I didn't know any, and I googled them. I'm not gonna lie.
We will cheat. So originally, I think Halloween is from Ireland because like they wanted to catalyze this, make it more Christian. So they were like, let's put Halloween, then all people will become Christians and so
Halloween. No Halloween.
It began with the pagan celebration of Samhain.
Yeah.
Are you reading Wikipedia right now?
I still have the page open. I still have the window open from earlier when I panicked about Irish tradition.
Google.
So you being a full-blooded Irish person calling it Samhain.
Samhain. Yeah.
What is the correct pronunciation?
Samhain.
Yeah.
Samhain, right? Let's say Samhain.
Something.
And I think in pre-2000s, November was called Samhain before they changed to November.
Oh.
In Ireland.
That does sound familiar. John, quick, Google.
That is in my fact box. That's in my fact box.
Good. So, again, back to alcohol. Jameson or Bushmills? Let's start from Hassan.
Bushmills?
Yeah. Whiskey.
Fine.
Same for me.
What? Bushmills?
Bushmills, yeah.
Oh, okay. John?
I'm
Don't
not very good with alcohol. I can't tell the difference really, but I think I've been handed Jameson and Coke a lot more than Bushmills and Coke, so I'm gonna go with Jameson.
No, not with Coke. Like
any sort of spirit tastes like perfume to me. So as long as it's mixed with something.
People I see love the alcohol questions. And Tom?
Guaranteed engagement. Jameson. Easy Jameson. But I'm a trash drinker just like John, so I'm mixing that with like ginger every time or with Coke. You know. The goal is just to ingest
so
the alcohol.
you
sometimes I mix with
you're
Coke.
cheating.
Definitely. Unapologetically cheating. The goal is just to get drunk.
Tullamore.
Apparently Tullamore Dew is popular as well.
Maybe Veronica loves Tullamore.
I know, yeah. But like red breast.
Dragonica, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
I used to live in Tullamore. But you can answer. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. Answer. Sorry.
Also, not sure if you know Redbreast. It's great whiskey as well. Like very good one. So,
I only I only had. Yep. Go ahead.
Go on. No, go on.
Yeah, I only had James Crested, and it was alright. But I must say, I love Scottish one. I'm the one not drinking Guinness and no Irish whiskey, so I'm the.
What are you doing in Ireland?
Exactly. Like I don't know. I always wanted to go to England, and I ended up here in Ireland. So, yeah.
There is actually one Irish whiskey that tastes very Scottish. It's Connemara whiskey. I'm not sure if you ever tried it, but it's very
not
good.
ground whiskey, right? Because you have ground whiskey from, they put the ground into the whiskey.
I don't know, but it's good. That's all I know.
Maybe I will try it one day.
I would recommend as well, yeah.
Which
I tried
Connemara.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Okay, let's get back to New Empire.
So, alcohol questions are better.
we'll talk about that. So, guys, your sound is it sounds very complete. So, what is your secret?
Josh.
Josh,
Oh, yeah.
He is an amazing producer. He just knows how to bring your mix to life and really make it hit hard. So he basically when we demo our tracks, I think especially with this clarity, so what happened there was John actually mentioned that it was lacking something. It needed something in the intro to really make it sound beefy, and we were like, trust me, John. Hopefully once we get it done properly in the studio and produced, it's gonna sound good. But he was just like, no, I'm not sure about that. But once we ended up going to Josh, he just did his magic, and he made it sound amazing. So yeah, he's the credit for that.
How did you find him? How did you come across him?
So basically, I found Josh through a band called More Than Machines. I'm friends with their drummer Anthony. So I remember around the time that they were making their album, they had finished recording, but they weren't quite getting there with the mixing. So they sent all their stuff to Josh. And then Anthony sent me 1 or 2 mixes before they released the album, and he was like, "What do you think of these?" And I was listening. I was like, "Oh my god, this guy knows how to mix modern metal really, really well." So I contacted Josh straight away. I messaged the guys. I was like, "Look, this is our guy. He just has it." And Josh was really, really, open and really cool about it. He was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll book you guys in once you have a song or whatever." I sent him a demo. He liked it. And since then, we've just been working with him. We really enjoy going down to him. That's kind of a bit heartbreaking because for the next single that we're planning on releasing, we more or less have the demo done, but we want to go to Belfast to record with him. And it may not happen due to the pandemic, the level 5 restrictions. So we may have to record in Dublin. But yeah, he's an amazing guy. Highly recommend it.
For sure, because when I first heard one of your songs, Nick put it on for me. I can't remember the name at the moment, but I was like, wow, this is amazing. And he just told me that you're a very new band. And I was like, wow, that's for a new band to sound like that, it's just, off the tops.
Yeah, it's for me as well. To be honest, I'm not a metalcore person. I don't listen it so much. But if you look at Neon Empire, it's very professional, put together and so on. You've been more than a few years in the business. I thought it was really neat. That's the thing. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. The sound is great. Yeah, because I'm not also so metalcore fan because we are coming all from different metal,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Influences, but the sound is really good. Yeah.
Thank you, and thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh, for the amazing song.
We need Josh. So. What else? Guys, can you tell me your favorite song from your EP? Let's start with Aaron.
Me?
Yeah. Ladies first.
This is hard. I think the song I love to play the most is "Closer to the Light," which is I think first on our EP probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like very energetic, and I just love those drums parts in there. So from this like playing points of view, is that one, and from like just a song, I really dig Crave because it's like it's very different and it's like funny and it's like party vibes in there. So those two.
I like also Closer to the Light. It's very
Cool.
and the lyrics. Yeah. John, which one you like to scream?
Oh, sorry. Did you say John? Excuse me.
Yeah, John. Sorry.
Oh, man,
Oh,
okay.
sorry. I need to change my name so it sounds different to John.
Yeah.
So good.
So, for me, I've only played it once, and it would probably be Crave. Crave is one that I'm waiting to essentially play on a really, really big stage as open space. It's the song that we're going to have since it's our party song. It has so much energy. It's one that I feel that if I even put in an awful performance, but I still go crazy, it passes. It's just like if I go up on stage and I forget lines, I get my timing wrong. It doesn't matter. It's just like
it doesn't matter.
But yeah, that would probably be the one that would probably be my favorite. I performed it once and it was so fun. There's a couple of different screaming styles in it as well. And it was my first song with like kind of clean, regular singing. So it would probably be that one. But Wrath, when we get to play it live, I have a feeling might take over that. But I haven't got to play it live, so I don't know. Obviously played it in rehearsal, but it's just not the same. So I want to play Wrath live. I think it will have a lot of competition to Wrath, but yeah, Crave is the top one at the moment.
Cool. Tom, now it's you.
Me. Just want to make sure. I think there's something about. Oh, Sinead took my answer. Okay, Sinead took my answer. I was going to say, yeah, this Clarity I think is my favorite, just because I think the first like 30 seconds of this Clarity is like the best music I think we've made almost. There's something about the intro, which is quite reserved and has this kind of laid back beat, always gets me pumped up. Every time we played it on stage, it's like energy rockets straight to the top. And you get so amped up to it. And then when the guitars actually come in, it really nails this like groove to it. Like every time I hear it, anytime I play it, every time I look at people listening to it, heads start going like that. Oh, like they kind of get that motion going. It's just, there's a bounce to it that it just always hits well. So it's definitely this Clarity just for the intro to it. I think it's so good.
Pigeon neck.
Yeah. Oh, and that stank face, is that what people say as well? It's like, oh, that's what you want, right?
And Hassan?
I think I'm conflicted, like Veronica, in terms of playing live and listening. I would say playing-wise, I think I find Closest to the Light to be the most fun one. The main kind of intro riff for me was really fun to write. I got a lot of inspiration from the band called Ginger. I'm not sure if you guys have checked them out much, but I was listening to a lot of Ginger at the time, and I was like, they have a song called I Speak Astronomy, and there's this riff in it that sounds really, really cool, and it hits hard, and I was like, I want something like this. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put it in something similar.
So we stole it.
No, we didn't steal it. It would sound like a Ginger riff if you were to isolate it, but it would not be stealing it.
I'm just messing. It is different.
To play, I really enjoy playing that live. The guitar solo on it as well feels really fun to play. But in terms of listening, I think for us, this Clarity is definitely my favorite. It just, as Tom put it, it has this like build up that kind of gets you into, a slow beat, and then it just hits straight away with the guitars coming in. And it's, even when you're playing it on stage, we kind of jump while we play that part, and it's just, yeah, this has the energy for me.
Cool.
Where is Ak?
Just now. Yeah, we have also a question from Ian.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That one, I think this would end up being like a repeat show of like ones that we played in the past with a lot of bands. Like again, Peasant to a King, because the minute we played with those guys, they were so friendly. We instantly connected and made friends with the guys from Peasant to a King. Where's the bird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Psychotic Outsider again. We played with those guys twice.
Oh, definitely.
And then that's always been good fun, like straight away. And they were at played our first show, I think. Did they? First or second, either way. And again, I was still a nervous
Second,
wreck.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, second. So I was still a nervous wreck. And but I remember straight away, like after they like came up to me and they were like, "Oh, you're in Neon Empire." And I had no idea how the band scene worked. I was not involved in the band scene at all. It's Neon Empire, so like all these bands made me feel so comfortable by being so friendly, and I just like to have a show with pretty much a lot of the bands that we've essentially already played with. Obviously, I'd like to add a lot of new ones to it as well. Remember that second gig with Psychotic Outsider? That was when my parents walked in, and yeah, they're 65 and 75, and yeah, they walked in and they seen Psychotic Outsider perform, and they were like, I could just tell they were like, "What is this? What has my son brought me to?" And their vocalist wasn't even on the stage; she was like in the middle of the floor, and she was like leaned back. She looked like she was in the middle of an exorcism or something. She should have been in the video game Outlast. Like, this is what you look like you're walking in on, and my parents were literally like, "What is happening?"
Very cool, very cool.
So I'm back. The door just went open. The dog went nuts. So, I had a question about gigs. So I saw you are going to support or Hollow or Home alongside Dream Away, but only for Dublin. So I'm wondering, how did the tour come together, and why specifically only Dublin?
So this one's kind of funny. So Our Hollow Our Home have been one of my favorite bands for years. Like, I loved their screaming vocalist before I even started screaming. And pretty much when it comes to the band scene, a lot of it, when you're trying to like get into positions like that and supporting bands like that, it is spamming messages and getting nothing back, essentially. And I found out who the promoter was, and I was just like, I'm going to send a message. And I did that. It got announced for Dublin in the Grand Social, and I seen that, and I was just like, I'll send a message. And literally within, I'd say, a minute, he got back to me and was just like, yeah, definitely. He was like, you guys can open for them, no problem. And I was like, what? Straight away, I was like, what?
This is a scam. This is a scam.
And so that essentially, like, once I got that response back of yes straight away, I remember I kind of like freaked out, and I was trying to like message to the guys and be like, look what has just happened. And like, this band who have millions of views on like YouTube, like hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners, were opening for like essentially our 5th show. So that's how that essentially came about. So like, I think this is going to be the first like really big thing that's going to happen for us. So hopefully COVID subsides and like that happens. But yeah, that's essentially how it came to happening with just a Dublin show. I did mention about Belfast, but they were like, no, we're going to leave that open for a local band from Belfast as well. But yeah, that's essentially how that happened.
Yeah, that explains the weird scheduling also, because like if you look in the rest of Europe, England, they have different support band, like my favorite Dutch band, and then like here in Dublin something else, and I was like, what's happening? But I think it's cool, like the promoter are supporting the local scene and so on. It's
Definitely.
great.
Yeah.
So hopefully this thing will happen in Dublin, and then every support band from every other country will not be able to make it, and they will call you and tour with them everywhere.
Please.
We'll just be the go-to support band for Dublin.
Or like the whole tour they will come to Dublin, everyone who they have scheduled for the other ones. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still really, really sad about that Sunstroke Festival that was going to happen in Ireland. Because I was like, oh my god, an actual proper metal festival. Well, I mean, with more commercially known bands, you know.
Yes.
Like, happening in Ireland, like wow, we're finally on the map, and then next thing, pandemic.
Everything gone.
I knew it was too good to be true.
Yes, COVID had different plans.
So sad.
Yeah, because in Ireland we don't have a festival like other countries, like Slovakia, Czech, or Netherlands, or Greece. Or we don't have big festival.
But a good thing about the lockdown is we discovered Neon Empire. So something positive came out.
Thanks, guys.
Yes.
So actually, I have a question regarding festivals. So if the situation would be normal, which festival would you like to perform at and why?
So with this, I think this is probably going to be the answer for all of us.